Welcome back to the Animation Corner. I'm your host, Mc0nel Films, and today we got a pretty cool guest. He's one of my best friends. I'm not gonna lie. He's a really good animator. He's good at guitar, if you didn't know that. And he's a good writer too. It's Mr. Mc0nel Productions. How you doing?
Yo, what's up? I'm doing good. How about you, bro?
Doing all right. Doing all right.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah, of course. Oh, and if people don't know, he's gonna be my new host for the podcast.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, we've been
Yes,
cooking stuff up.
sir.
We're cooking stuff up right now. Projects
We are
and
cooking.
and for the podcast. So
We are the cookers.
yes, sir. So all right, first question. How'd you get into animation? How'd you start animating, and when?
So, I'm an unk. I'm unk status, and uh, I would I would watch like Lego videos on the iPad because I would be into Legos and all that, and I would watch like all these animators. Like I'd watch like Forest Fire and Fancy Pants and On Beat Man, and
Yeah.
I would just love all that stuff, and I just like I wanted to make animations like them, and eventually I discovered like stuff like Aubrey Studios and what's his face, Flapjack Films, and then like down the road, because everybody knows it, Edbound, so I'd say those guys are definitely like my gateway into animation. But I mean, I liked watching like action figure stop motion too. So I mean, stuff like I forget his name, but like Legendary Leo, I think that's his name, or Leo Legend,
Yeah.
or the Jack Productions, all those guys really. So those are the guys that kind of got me into animation. But other than that, I'd just like watch a lot of like cartoons as well. Like I'd watch a lot of anime, and I still do. I'd watch a lot of Dragon Ball when I was super little. I watched the old Spider-Man cartoons, old Batman cartoons, all the Family Guy, all that stuff. So I just had a really big interest in animation and all that, and I also play a lot of video games too. So
Oh yeah. Oh, speaking of which, what is your favorite video game?
my favorite video game is the first Resident Evil remake from 2002. To me, it's definitely the most perfect Resident Evil game, and it's the best remake, not the new ones. I will say that.
Yeah.
If there's any Resident Evil fans out there, not the new one. I mean, they're not bad, but it's like they're not that good of remakes. So I'd say the first Resident Evil remake, that or Devil May Cry 3. Those are definitely two of my favorite games of all time.
Yeah. Those are good games. And speaking of Devil
Yeah.
May Cry, what upcoming projects do you got going on?
Oh boy. So I am working on, Mr. Mega Films here said, speaking of Devil May Cry, I'm working on a Devil May Cry movie, which is based off the third game that came out in 2005, and I decided, there's not a lot of Devil May Cry stop motions. At least I don't think there's any good ones. I don't want to judge people's animations, but I wouldn't necessarily say they're the best. I haven't seen a lot of good ones, so I'm working on a Devil May Cry movie. It's definitely going to take a long time, and I'm working on the trailer right now, and yeah, so I'm really excited to show that off. I'm working on a documentary called Jackpot, the Devil May Cry Dante's Awakening experience, which is going to come out after the film, which is probably going to take forever to make because stop motion sucks and life sucks too, and like it's a bunch of stuff happens in life, and you can't work on stop motion all the time, which I would love for that to happen, but life sucks. So I'm working on a Sonic video as well. I've been getting into a lot of Lego Sonic stop motions, and I'm working on a Sonic versus Metal Sonic stop motion, which Mr. Mega Films here is voicing two guys in that film.
Yes, sir.
You'll see who he voices when it comes out, and so I'm working on that. I'm definitely cooking that up, and maybe some Transformers projects here and there. I kind of just go with the flow with animation. If I have a set and I have a good idea, I'll just animate it. But those are definitely some main projects that I'm working on.
Very nice, very nice. So, as I said at the beginning of the podcast, you do a lot of guitar stuff. I mean, we've been talking
Yeah.
for a while. You know, I've heard you just playing guitar in the background. So,
Yeah.
how did you just start playing the guitar? You know, how'd you start listening to that sort of music and just metal? Because you play a lot.
So as Mr. Mega Prime here mentioned, I don't want to say this word because I hate this word, but I'm a metalhead. I also love a lot of punk music, and I love a lot of grunge, like Alice in Chains and all that. But I mostly listen to metal. So ever since I was a little kid, I've always been into music. I've always had some weird interest in music, mostly like really heavy rock music and metal and all that. My first band I really got into, which I'm sure a lot of people did, or at least with metal music, is Linkin Park, and I still love Linkin Park. I just don't like those new albums.
Oh yeah.
I don't really like anything after Meteora, and I know you know that, but.
Well, yeah. I mean, some of their newer stuff. I mean, obviously Chester passed, but some of their stuff in the mid 2010s is all right. It's okay.
I wouldn't say it's bad. I'd say some of Minutes to Midnight, Living Things, A Thousand Suns, all that stuff. But even a couple songs off of One More Lighter, not that bad. But it's just I'm not a very big fan of pop music.
Yeah.
So I'm not a very big fan of Linkin Park's newer stuff. I've always preferred their heavier stuff, and I am definitely not a very big fan of their new album. I like maybe one song off there because it kind of goes back to Hybrid Theory, Meteora era Linkin Park. But and it's not. I don't hate Emily Armstrong at all. I just want to advise that I don't hate her. I don't think she's the worst thing in the world, but I'm not a very big fan of her vocals. I think she tries to sound too much like Chester instead of her own thing.
Yeah.
If you want to listen to a good metal band that brought back their sound with a new singer, listen to Static X, Project Regeneration Volume 1 and 2. It's a new singer because the old one passed away and they split up and all that. But the new singer, he's from the band Dope. He did he sings for Static X now. I mean, he's in the, I guess, the lore Static X. He's technically Wayne Static, but he sings for them now, and he does a really good job. I think he does a really good job. But anyways, going back to what I was saying. So I've been listening. So I'd say music-wise, I've always wanted to play music, but ever since I was little, my dad would play Nirvana and AC/DC and Guns N' Roses and all that, and in the car, and he would play a lot of rap music too. So I love a lot of rap music, a lot of the older stuff anyway. And he would play, I would watch the old Transformers movies, which had the Linkin Park songs in them, and everybody loves those songs. I love those songs too. So don't get me wrong, those are really good songs. I'd say maybe around middle school, I started listening to a lot of Linkin Park, a lot of their heavier stuff, and I got into 3 Days Grace as well. And I was so edgy back then. I was so emo, which is not emo, but I was so edgy and emo and all that. And I was like, yeah, bro, I watch anime, and I listen to Linkin Park. Oh, I'm so edgy, and I watch Dragon Ball Z and all that.
Yeah.
And I still love those bands. But there was a time where I just didn't listen to them, and around that time too, I got into a band called Julian K, but they did do a song for the Transformers games and some of the movies, and the guy who sings for Julian K did a band with Chester Bennington called I can't remember their name. Dead by Sunrise, that's the name, I think. But I got into that band because I played the Revenge of the Fallen game growing up, and that game is so awesome, and it's better than the movie, and it's a good Transformers game, and people need to stop hating it.
Yeah.
And I would also listen to a lot of Crush 40, which, for those who don't know Crush 40, they did the Sonic, most of the Sonic rock songs, Live and Learn, I Am All of Me, All Hail Shadow, all that stuff. If you've seen Sonic 3 and you hear the song Live and Learn, that's the song they made for Sonic Adventure 2, but it's obviously remixed. So I listened to a lot of that stuff, and then about freshman year I got into Slipknot, and if you know me, if you know the old me at least, you knew that I was super into this really bad crunkcore metal band type thing called Hollywood Undead. Oh, okay. I was. Well, I will say this before I got into like Slipknot and Hollywood Undead, I started listening to a lot of Nirvana, and because I loved Nirvana so much, I was like, I want to get a guitar. It's like, yeah, I listened to Linkin Park and 3 Days Grace, but it didn't really inspire me to play guitar. And then I just started playing, and then I listened to Nirvana, and I was like, oh shoot, you know, I want to play guitar. I want to play Smells Like Teen Spirit and Bloom, you know, all their, you know, stuff off like Nevermind and Utero. I can't even Utero, right?
In utero.
In Utero, yeah, I can never say it right,
Yeah.
and everybody makes fun of me for it.
Yeah, maybe I do.
But yeah, so that I'd say, you know, Nirvana was definitely what inspired me to play guitar, and some of Hollywood Undead, but not really. And then I got into Pantera heavily, and Cannibal Corpse, and all these other metal bands that I'm not gonna list them all. I'll say my top 3 metal bands are Pantera, Korn, and Slayer. But you know, but yeah, so I'd say like Pantera and Nirvana for the most part really got me into playing guitar. But you know, getting into that music was more Linkin Park and like System of a Down and 3 Days Grace.
Yeah. So if you're listening to this episode, go watch my upcoming film Transformers Calamity. He's doing a couple Linkin Park covers.
Yes, sir.
They're pretty good, I'm not gonna lie. So yeah. But getting back to animation, your writing is really good for your movies. I have to say that.
Thank you.
So yeah, you're writing Transformers and Brothers in Arms for me, which we'll get back to that in the future. I don't know when, but so like what inspires you to write like you do? Like what did you take inspiration from, like any movies, TV shows?
So I mentioned I play a lot of video games, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so I play a lot of video games. I don't read a lot of books, and I don't watch a lot of movies. You know, I'm supposed to be doing that, but you know, it's whatever. So I mean, I guess I dive into a bit of lore with certain things. I took an advanced English class 1 year, and you know, English class sucks and nobody likes it. I'm not a very big fan of it. I had this teacher, and he was like the coolest teacher ever. He actually taught people how to write. And he's actually he's not a teacher anymore, or he's technically a teacher. He teaches other teachers how to actually teach and not be all lame and all that. So he would like be like, you know, when you're teaching, you do, or when you're writing, you do this and you do this and you did this. And I've also kind of studied a lot of video games and how those stories go, like character development and all that. And I took a film class too, and I learned a lot from that. So I'd say my advanced English and my film class, both freshman year, by the way, those two really, that voice crack, those two really helped me out. I also watched a lot of Brick films as well. I'm not gonna name all of the ones I watched, but I watched a lot of Brick films. I would watch a lot of Actman before he kind of became not very good at making videos anymore.
I still like his stuff, I'm not gonna lie.
I like his stuff too, but like not his new stuff really.
But his new stuff's alright. I mean, yeah, it's not as good as it used to be, but he still puts out okay content.
Yeah, so you know, I'd watch a lot of his stuff, and I would do it when I played video games, because you know, I got no life and all that. But he would I would listen to it a lot, and he's like, you know, when you make a story, you got to do this, and this. I'm like, okay, well, you know, I'll remember that. And so I kind of when I jump into a story, it's very hard to explain. I kind of just write, and whatever sounds good, and I show it off. And you know, if anybody likes it, that's cool. If nobody likes it, that's whatever. You know, so I kind of just write whatever, and you know, if it turns out pretty good, you know, I'm happy.
Yeah, that's pretty much what I do with my stuff. little bit of what you said, but yeah. So, do you have any advice for new brick filmers coming into the animation world, or just anybody who wants to do stop motion?
My advice for animation and all that, really just create what you want, dude. Don't be like, I'm gonna have a huge hot take and, come after me, but don't be like nonstop. Don't be like all these break filmers who are like, oh, well, we gotta make trend videos. Don't appeal to the trends. I think that it ruins the fun out of break filming, and I tried doing it so many times, and it's ruined the fun for me. Create what you want. Create what you're passionate about. If you want to create freaking Batman fights Goku or something, make Batman fights Goku, dude.
Exactly.
Like, just create like any, fun stuff you want to create. Just, don't do it just because you have to. Do it because you want to. And definitely, I'm speaking for myself, but I'm sure there's a lot of animators who have really bad anxiety, which I'm pretty open about. The best thing to do with that anxiety and you animate is to keep your hands moving, keep having ideas, keep, putting it. If you like it, make it into a stop motion, dude. And it really helps with anxiety and you just keeping your hands moving all the time. So yeah.
Exactly. I like that. No, but take his words into consideration, because there's a lot of Edbound copies out there and those types of things.
Dude.
You can come after me too. Anybody who's listening to this, but
there was like one good Edbound copy.
Oh,
but
yeah.
he doesn't upload anymore. He if any of you remember Rage Brick,
yeah.
he doesn't upload anymore. You can't even find any of his videos anymore. It's sad, but
Sad days.
Definitely. Is that the copy of Bad Days, Mr. Sad Days?
It's Mr. Sad Days. Yeah, I guess so.
But yeah. So like Rage Brick, he doesn't upload anymore. But I'd say like Edbound clones have kind of disappeared a lot lately in current times. Like they've like you don't really find them much. It's more like non-stop copies, than Edbound copies.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, I guess you're right about that, but I guess they're still kind of the same art style in terms of animation.
Oh yeah, and words of advice to anybody: make your own style, please. Just just rip off. Like here, my favorite band, Pantera. What the lead singer said this. Take 20 of your favorite. Just try to follow what I say when I say take 20 of your favorite bands, rip them off all to hell, and then you'll get your own sound. Do that, just not with the bands, unless you like making music, which is sick. Do that with your favorite animators, rip them off all to hell, and create your own style. It really does help you out in the long run.
Right. No, you're absolutely right about that. So, well, do you have anything else to say to the people, the viewers, before we end this?
God bless P. Schmirky. Listen to Jets films when he says I'm mid. And I am the Lego toy movie guy.
All right. Well, thank you for being on here, and I'm looking forward to making the 4th episode with you.
Of course, I can't wait to do more episodes with you too, bro.
Hell yeah, man. So subscribe to Mc0nel, please. His stuff is really good. Go do it.
Buy my merch.
Yeah, buy his merch. What would your merch be, anyways?
It would be what? I mean, I guess it would be like
a beanie. I don't know.
Yeah, a beanie, I guess.
Mc0nel beanie. All right, I'd invest in that. I'd buy that. All right, well, thank you everyone for watching, and we will be back for the 4th episode. So see you in the next one. Peace.